Hello weirdos, welcome back to my channel. My name is EmmaAbe and today we are going to be reacting to the results of the BookTube prize. So this is very intense because there's a lot of books. It was really heated. So the round that just ended was the semifinals and the finals are around right now. They're happening right now. I am a judge for the finals, so I'm gonna try and not talk too much about my personal opinions about the books in that round. I really want to talk about the books that didn't make it. There are only two groups this time. The ones in group A were Catch and Kill, The Yellow House, Say Nothing, Sea People, Solitary, and Underland. And the three that made it through were Catch and Kill, Say Nothing, and Solitary. Catch and Kill I didn't have to read at all before, but I did read it. I hate to say this, but I don't get the hype. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reread it for this round because I've read all the books that have made it into the final. So I was like, I will reread this one because maybe I missed something on my first read. The Yellow House I actually have not read. I'm very interested in reading it because it's the only book out of these 12 books that I have not read. So I'm going to try and make that a priority. But I did hear it was really good. Say Nothing I read back in the first round, so if you want to hear my specific thoughts on that one, you can go read that in that video. Sea People! This was one of the ones I was heartbroken to see that didn't make it because I really loved Sea People. And I'm actually going to insert a clip of me talking about Sea People because, oh my god, I loved it so much and I was very upset that it didn't make it to the next round. Today I finished a book for the BookTube prize, but it's not one that I'm judging, so here are my thoughts. That would be Sea People by Christina Thompson. Oh my god, I loved this. From my preliminary research, I thought this book was going to be answering the question in Polynesia, why they stopped voyaging. It's kind of a big mystery, but now that I've read this book, it kind of seems like there was no need to keep voyaging, so people stopped voyaging. She doesn't really try and answer that question at all. This is a book about the history of Polynesian people, which, as she describes, is the cultural similarities over all these cultures, covers the largest geographic region in the world. Does that make any sense? That makes a lot of sense if you kind of understand the history of how people moved around in the Polynesian Islands. You'd understand why the cultural change and cultural shift would be very slight, very clearly trace where people come from through their culture and through the artifacts that they leave. Oh my god, this book was so well researched. The author did an amazing job. I was blown away. First of all, I like that she opens the book with like personal anecdotes of her actually being in Polynesia. It's very clear that she does at least have some anthropology or ethnography training because of the way she approaches talking about the subjects and the fact that she actually goes to places and just the way she talks about the research that she did. It's kind of very clear in my opinion. But I don't know, I have not done any research about her background or anything. One thing she does open the book with is that she talks about her experience like going and traveling in Polynesia, and her husband is actually Polynesian. Everyone calls him like a brother or friend or treats him like a family member because he's Polynesian. And then she goes into explaining why they do that and sort of gives you a brief history of how the people in Polynesia are connected genetically. Really nice way to sort of segue into the main part of the book. I loved the book. I thought it was really good. In my opinion, it's a 5 out of 5. I read it with audiobook and without following along because I don't actually have a hard copy of it. One thing that I think would be really helpful is to actually have a hard copy because she talks all about these islands. And it would have been nice to be able to refer to a map to see what she was talking about. I really like the audiobook. The audiobook person actually does pronounce Hawaii right. Most people don't, they just call it Hawaii, which is incorrect because there's an apostrophe, which is a glottal stop. It's fairly common in Polynesian languages, but it's not so much in English. Another thing that the author talks about is she doesn't just talk about the history of Polynesia, she talks about the history of finding the history of Polynesia. That's kind of like the second half of the book, and I really liked that because it intersects with a lot of Polynesian people, and it's a lot of Polynesian people coming together to create their own history, or Polynesian researchers, or people who are married to Polynesians, so people who are deeply engrossed within Polynesian culture in general, who were doing most of these research That, of course, comes after the explorers, and it's just really interesting to hear about the fragmented early explorers' depictions of Polynesian culture. It's very interesting to see the very beginning of Europeans exploring into Polynesia, because you get this very sort of fragmented and jilted view of what Polynesian culture is like, and then you go up to people who are actually Polynesian, actually researching things, and there's, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a nice loop kind of that she does at the end, which was just like, aha! Love it. And one thing that I think that the author does a really good job at explaining the mindset of the people of the time as regards to their approach to research, which I think is very useful to understand why their findings were different and helping extrapolate some of their research interpretations, which isn't often explained in books, and I really enjoyed that. And as a whole, I really enjoyed this book. Solitary, I read in the quarterfinals. That one got #1. So if that gives any idea of where that I had felt about that one, so I get that one. Underland. Again, I was sad to see that one go, but I also get it. I think compared to some of the other books in its category, it's hard to compete. I read that one in the quarterfinals as well, and that I actually ranked 5th. I really enjoyed it. I bought a freaking copy of it, if you can see it right there. But I do understand people's issues with it. Not all of the stories that McFarlane says are created equal. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it because I enjoyed like all of the freaking books that round. That was a tough round for me. I thought all of these are strong. Out of all the ones that made it to the final, I get it. It's very, oh God, man, it could have been given to really any of these. But yeah, Catch and Kill's the only one that I don't really understand, but I understand why other people like it. All right, so group B are these, and these are the group of books that I personally judge. They are Women of No Importance, Know My Name, Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, No Visible Bruises, In the Dream House, and The Only Plane in the Sky. Oof, this was a tough round. Woman of No Importance. I didn't particularly like that one, but I also wasn't in the target demographic. It's not really something that I usually enjoy reading. I'm not really into spy stuff. I also thought it was a bit long for my taste. That one I ranked 6th. I get it why that one was knocked out. Know My Name, that was fabulous. That got my 2nd spot for this group and it almost made me cry. It was intense, so I get why that moved through. Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. I read that for the quarterfinals. I read a lot of these for the quarterfinals. That was good. I really liked that one too. I believe that one got 2nd. I don't know, standing up to some of the other books that were in this round, it was tough. I get it. I kind of get why it was weeded out of the pack. No Visible Bruises blew me away. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was, and it got #3, so I was very happy that it moved on. In the Dream House, I gave that one my 5th spot, but again, you can probably tell by the bookshelves behind me, most of the books I read are nonfiction, so the whole like the most fictioniest nonfiction book vibe I didn't super gel with, but I totally understand why other people like it so much. Then we come to The Only Plane in the Sky. This one got #1 for me, and again, I was just heartbroken with why it didn't move on. I don't get it. I don't get why it got knocked out. So if anyone can please leave in the comments below why you think this one got knocked out, let me know. I've watched a couple videos, but not a ton. Maybe that's just what I need to do, is just need to watch other judges' videos. The Only Plane in the Sky almost made me cry, and it's one of those books where I'm just like, everyone should read it. But be careful, it can be very triggering because it is a depiction of what 9/11 was and the experience that people went through. So if that's too intense for you, then I'd say maybe skip it. Sorry this video isn't super long, but I also didn't want to make it super long, so I hope that you guys like it, and I'm very excited to be judging the final. Yeah, we'll see how this stuff gets ranked. Okay, goodbye!